Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Intentional Conversations. I'm so happy to be joined by a dear friend of mine, Tangie Nadimi, who is here to talk all things human design. Tangie, welcome.
Thank you, Mel. I'm so happy to be here. You really
I'm
just brightened my day.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. So I'm really excited because, you know, I've had various human design readers on the podcast, and we've heard all kinds of podcasts where everyone's talking about like all the pieces of it, right? And it's great. It's a good entry into it. And I knew that this is something you're doing and you're so brilliant at it. And like, but you do it through a different lens. Like, so you specifically do human design for spiritual entrepreneurs. And so I'm excited to sort of expand the human design conversation to like it's a little more focused and specific and how we can use it in our businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Human design is, I describe it as the rabbit hole to end all rabbit holes. So a lot of times people will come across my path as their first introduction to human design, and I walk them through human design kindergarten. And then typically people who cross my path are spiritual entrepreneurs or who are wanting to offer their gifts and involve in some way. So they understand their aura, they resonate with that, and now they go, okay, and what's my impact? And so we use human design to help them focus in on the things that they can offer, the gifts that they have, and how to do that in a way that aligns with their energy, where they can create sustainability in their lives and in their day-to-day energy and the way that
Yeah.
they feel.
So my first question is, so when you say spiritual entrepreneurs, what does that mean?
I mean, I generally say you've got to be a little bit woo-woo to be willing to work with me. There has to be some level of belief in auras, in energy, in a soul path, in our creative nature, right? Our ability to intend something and create it into our reality. So that would be my definition of spiritual, but I wouldn't call it necessarily like a specific belief system. It's pretty broad, but you've got to be able to go with me to the extent that you create energy and that energy has an impact that is measurable based on your birth information, based on your natal placement. So that's my logical definition of spiritual.
Yeah, and I think it's also like when I hear it and knowing what I know about you and human design as well, the sort of limited context I have on it, to me, it's being open enough to believe in these modalities like human design or like astrology and how there's a lot of truth and a lot of guidance in that. And if we can be open to that, like that is true alignment. Like I often say, like the most important thing is for us to be aligned. And so
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean? I think we have an inner knowing and an inner feeling of when we're aligned. But I also think until we get there, there are certain things that can help us, can like be our sort of compass. And human design is one of them. So I think like, so I just want to say that if someone's tuning in and they're an entrepreneur and they're like, well, I don't know if I consider myself a spiritual entrepreneur, I would stick with it because the thing is, like, I think if you believe in energy, if any of the episodes that I've ever done or any content I've ever released resonates, like, then just be open to this because, and hey, listen, even if you're not, even if you're like, I'm not a spiritual person at all, tune in, see what happens, like, see how this resonates and how you can apply this to your business, and you could be pleasantly surprised, you know?
Yeah, well, it's a logical framework to help understand energy archetypes.
Yeah.
And so for me, studying human design, I'm in my sixth year of study. I understand the whole thing, right? And so I would never meet with someone or offer guidance or direction that would make you feel boxed in. I always say I'll never tell you anything limiting, inhibiting, or dogmatic about this system. I call myself the feel good expert. I use this system to help you feel good. And so I will share what I see and what aligns for you. Like you said, what you feel in your body, you say, oh my gosh, that resonates. That's part of my lived experience, or at least it lights something up in my energy field. That resonates for me. Cool. You've said it out loud to me. I can say, okay, we're in agreement. I have language to describe the energy that you're feeling, and you're describing this energy and validating that. So let's focus in on that because this means something to you. And we can focus in on that in the context of your business and help you eliminate all of those distractions and all of those comparisons that you find on social media and out in the world, and you look at all of these business owners and they seem to be overnight success, and you go, why not for me? And when you are copying or trying to emulate an energy type that doesn't match yours, you always press on your not enoughness, and you fall into this bottomless pit, this black hole of distraction, not enoughness, pressure, and you give yourself headaches, and you get into all of this frustration, and you create these stories of I'm never gonna get ahead, I'm never gonna succeed, I'm never gonna win. And so what I do is help people move that needle, right? Shift that perspective, and just give a little bit of guidance and direction, something to focus on and experiment with. Human design is an experiment. Experiment with it. See how it feels, see how it lands, see how, if what you're sharing resonates and lands for others in a way that creates conversion and impact in your business. And if so, cool, keep doing that. Don't look at what everybody else is doing.
Yes. Gosh, there's so many things in that I want to like sort of expand on. One of them is I think the world of social media is so interesting. And for all of us, we scroll and exactly like you're saying, we look at people and we sort of feel the ping of like, then it goes into like, we're not doing it right. And the truth is like, we want every single person, whether it's in business or in life, to just be uniquely who they are and contribute that fully. And so it sounds like, well, and I know this from you and from human design, like this is the blueprint that helps, that helps you to say, and I love how you say, like, try this on. It's so not set in stone. And I think that would make even someone who is somewhat skeptical be like, okay, like no one's trying to force you. It's like, hey, just play around with this and just see how this feels,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In human design, there is no good, bad, right, or wrong. So people will come to me and they'll say, oh my God, my chart looks like this. Is that bad? And I said, good, that's judgment. That's a construct of the mind. And we don't want to go into that game, right? Because my perspective is different than your perspective, and it can't not be. And so what we do instead is we say, okay, well, let's just line up with the language that resonates. And so what I do in a chart is look at specific parts, and I say, hey, according to human design and astrology, this is what you probably are always talking about, always have been, always will be. And we take it for granted because we don't hear ourselves talk, right? And we don't really like go write it down every time we say something, but this is just what comes up for you on a day-to-day basis in conversation. So what if we took that energy that is natural and inherent and very consistent, and we line that up with what you share on socials? How simple, right? How easy. Instead of going on socials and going, oh my God, what's trending? What's trending today, and how do I please the algorithm gods? How do I change who I am to fit into this mold? Human design does the exact opposite. It says, how do I create via who I am instead of trying to like box myself in? And so if I use my own chart for an example, I have gate 61 in Mercury. Gate 61 is the gate of mystery. It inspires us to be curious about occult knowledge and ancient systems and wisdom, right? It's all I ever talk about. I was joking earlier today that like I have cutouts from 17 magazine when I was 13 years old, horoscopes and astrological charts. It has always landed for me, and I've always asked people about their astrology, and now I've just expanded into human design, and it's what I talk about. I can't not talk about it. And so when I talk about it on socials, people are like, oh my God, everything you say is amazing. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just talking about what I always talk about.
I love that. So how are the ways, can you expand a little, like how you would start with like, and is there something that someone can pull their chart and look at? I know obviously having a reading with you is like the way to go, but are there things like, what would be like one thing or one or two things that people could say, okay, I can pull my chart. I know I'm a generator. I know I'm a reflector. I know, my type. I know certain things. Mm-hmm. But what would be like one key thing in terms of through the lens of that spiritual entrepreneurship that you recommend people look at?
I'm going to give you three. I'm going to give you three things, like the top three things that I go, this is first and foremost. These are the biggest themes. This is what actually guides your energy on a day-to-day basis. And then if you want to look at smaller themes and very specific and strategic things, of course, you'll find that in the gates. And I have all of the gates listed in my blog, on socials. They're all over the place. You'll find that there, but don't start there because you're going to get confused. You're going to get confused and overwhelmed. You need to know how to use your energy well and how to show up in your natural energetic state well in business before you go and focus on the strategic things. And so the three things are strategy, which is the expression of your aura. It's how your aura naturally expresses itself. It's how you protect your aura. It's how you manage your energy. That's strategy in human design. We have 5 types: projector, generator, manifestor, and reflector. Those are the aura types, and the strategies go with each type. So this is your strategy for showing up every day and living according to your energy. Authority is the way that you make aligned decisions. So a lot of times business owners will get into modes of overthinking, and they'll put a lot of pressure on themselves. We have 2 pressure centers in human design, the crown and the root. And so if you are feeling pressure to make a decision or to move something forward, that is across the board, not self, for everyone. Your authority will tell you which energy center is in charge for you and for the decisions that you make. And then the profile numbers are very, very fun to talk about, because this is how you express yourself. So we're talking about managing your energy well, right? Like feeling good in your own body, showing up on a day-to-day basis in a way that's consistent, making decisions that are aligned with that energetic expression. And then how do you actually express yourself, your individuality, your personality? That's the profile numbers. So understanding your type, that's going to tell you the shape of your aura. And like I said, we have 5 different types in human design. My website has video descriptions of every single thing in the chart properties. So that's an easy place to go. And like you said, you've already covered the basics of human design in a few other episodes. So I'd suggest that. But understand your strategy. So I'll give context there. I'm a projector in human design. Projectors are really good at creating efficiencies. We're really good at understanding systems. And so if I were to compare myself to generators and manifesting generators and say, I need to show up in my business with energy and enthusiasm and excitement, I wouldn't show up in my business because I don't have that consistently every day. Sometimes it is here, and that's fun and it's exciting, right? And then sometimes it's not. And so when it's not here, I don't judge and shame myself and say something is wrong with me. I didn't get enough sleep. I'm not drinking enough coffee. I'm not strategic enough. I'm not smart enough. I need to hire another coach. I don't have a mentor. I don't do any of that. I go, well, what system am I working in? Okay. What is the overarching system that I need to funnel my energy to? What's my scaffolding? And how can I move my energy in that way? So when you see me show up, I show up in a very systematized way. I create series on social media. When I work with clients, we have step-by-step processes, right? When I'm talking about human design, I say, okay, well, this is how we're going to do it. We have 3 steps, always systematized. However, in comparison to someone like you, Mel, you're an emotional generator, right? So it's like bringing your full depth and thoroughness and being in spaces where you can really connect deeply. You don't have to like limit your expression. You can take the time that it takes, right? And be able to really, really thoroughly and deeply connect via response. It's a completely different energy to bring to interactions, a completely different offer that you would have in business. So understanding your strategy and the way that your aura expresses the biggest big deal. And then your authority. So the super fun way for me to describe authority, because my manifestor son has initiated us all on soccer. Okay. So I describe authority in context of like a team. So if you imagine you have a team of players, the ones that are colored in your chart are actively playing on the field. Okay. So you have multiple players playing on the field. Unless you're a reflector, you've got at least 2 players on the field, right? The ones that are white in your chart, they're on the bench. Doesn't mean they never play. They do. They come in and out, but we can't really count on them. They're not our star players. They're not super consistent. They're learning, they're doing things, but they're not the best. Yeah. And so when you look at the players on the field, there is one that's the MVP. Okay, there is one that's really the best, that we really can count on, that knows exactly what it's doing. And that's our authority in human design. And so for you, your emotional authority, we're going to check in with that authority. We're going to check in with that player before we do anything in business and say, does this opportunity allow for my full depth and thoroughness? I'm going to create the boundary by making them wait. Because if this opportunity will not wait for me to ride my emotional wave, I will always make myself wrong. I will always say that I'm too much, and I'll always say that I'm too slow. And that's just going to create all kinds of stagnancy in my energy, and I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate every second of it. I'm going to wish I hadn't said yes, right? I'm going to have regret. For me, I'm splenic, okay? So my authority is always asking the question, like, it's like lizard brain. Am I safe? Am I good? Am I healthy? Am I safe? Right? And so I find myself in business bumping into commitments. Can I maintain my well-being in this commitment? Am I good, safe, and healthy if I book a client, right, for 6 months? Oh my God, I don't know. I cannot predict that far out into the future. And so my spleen might say, hey, sounds mentally stimulating. I like the idea of money, right? I like the recognition of a client wanting to work with me for that long, but my body won't go. And so the spleen will just kind of sit there and go, well, thanks, but no thanks. Right? So there are different types of authority. And again, that's all listed on my website. I have all of them in playlists. They're all over the place. But if you look into your authority and you start to use that very strategically in the way that you make business decisions, you start to understand, oh, this is what my body wants. This is what my body wants to be able to show up in the most aligned manner. So most of what I do in my own business as a splenic projector is create passive income streams. I want to be able to do whatever I want every day. And I know most of us do,
Right.
but there's a certain level of fulfillment and satisfaction for a generator, a manifesting generator, to say, oh my God, I'm lit up by this. And I really want to put intentional energy here. And that might be passive income. That might be building something out, but it's a completely different expression, right? I'm waiting for my spleen to say, hey, let's go there or not. And in the meantime, I have to make sure that sustainable systems are in place. So systems and automation are a big deal for me. Mm-hmm. I also want to talk about profile, but I didn't know if you wanted to reflect on anything before I do.
Yeah, no, thank you. You're so intuitive. I appreciate that. Because I just want to speak to like what you were just saying, because it's so interesting. Because this past year, I've done various things where essentially I am getting passive income, which is great. I mean, I love it. Like, who doesn't love mailbox money, right? But it's so interesting, and there's so much happening in my life where I'm like, I'm getting some wake up calls where I'm like, oof, because that inner listening, I was ignoring it several months ago. I've been ignoring, and I'm like, what the hell? What are you worried about? Like, I play pickleball for like 2 hours a day. I'm like, life is great, but I kept hearing, I kept feeling my energy isn't being fully used. Like, I need to use my energy. And there are things that are happening that are really loud where it's like, wake the fuck up, because like your energy is not being used. You can still have passive, but you've got to get up. You've got to get up and be using it. So it resonated deeply for me when you just said that, because, and I think that's what I hear as you're explaining all of these things. It's like we want to use our energy in the way that's most aligned to us. Mm-hmm. And like, to me, that's part of being a human. That's why we came in here, was to experience these things and to contribute. And so, yeah.
Exactly. And every type has its own internal compass. And so you're on the compass of satisfaction versus frustration. And so satisfaction is, I got this burst of energy and I put it where I wanted to put it, right? Where my gut said to go. And when I don't, and when I'm not able to do that, when I'm not able to move that energy, right, it stagnates and it manifests itself as frustration. And I mentioned to my clients a lot, when you're in that not self theme of your type, you move your energy into the not self themes of your chart. And so for you, Mel, for example, you have a fully open root center. And so when you're frustrated, you'll start making up this story of like, nothing's moving forward. I'm not creating any momentum. I must be procrastinating, right? I'm not doing enough. I'm not driven. Where is my drive and my tenacity? How can I find it? Now I feel so much stress and pressure. What do I do with it? I need to go outside, right? I need to ground it. And so we get in these loops as entrepreneurs of our distractions. You'll find your distractions in the whitest centers in your chart, for lack of a better term. So the fewer activations, the more distracting it's going to be, the more it's going to press on you, and it's going to say, you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. And so as soon as you can bring into awareness, first of all, that compass for your type. So generators and manifesting generators is on that satisfaction, frustration axis. A projector like me would be on a success and bitterness axis. So I feel successful when I'm able to create energy efficiencies. When you ask me for guidance, I guide you and you're like, yes, I'm going to do that. That is helpful to me. My energy feels better, right? I feel success. It's not material success. It's success in guiding energy. Bitterness is I offer things that are unsolicited. I give advice without being asked. I give you my energy. I focus on you for nothing. And you're not able to integrate that. You weren't ready. And I come into bitterness, and then I go into my own, the centers that are white in my chart, my own not self themes. Manifester is anger versus peace. So a manifester wants not necessarily to live this Zen life, right? They're initiators. They get stuff started. So they want to be left at peace when they are initiating. They don't want anyone to stand in front of them or in their way. They want to move things forward very quickly, like 200%, and they want to be left at peace. So they have to use their strategy of informing. And when someone tries to stop them, that's when we get the manifestor rage. And reflectors, I touched on briefly with authority. Reflectors have no inner authority. So their signature theme is surprise. They're not meant to try to be predictable or controlled in the way that they express themselves. They're master energy readers. They have all of this openness in their chart, so they're absorbing and amplifying left and right. And when they have good boundaries and they know their energy anchors, they go out into life and they go, that's surprising and that's delightful. And the opposite of that for them is disappointment. Disappointment is attachment to a specific outcome or being consistent about something. So in business, they're meant to be kind of at the center, right? And for things to rotate around them. So it's possible for any energy type, but your compass is going to be that signature and not self-theme. And as soon as you have awareness of that, you go, oh, crap. This isn't going to do anything for me, right? To be in this state.
Yeah, and Tangie, I have to tell you, in real time, I'm serious. There's like so much, and I don't think you know everything. Like we've talked a little bit, but like you don't know everything going on. So I'm like, oh my
No, I
God, I
don't.
need to have a session with Tangie. Like seriously, like because it spoke to exactly, and I'm like, oh my God. And this is why I think in the beginning when I said, what is spiritual entrepreneur? Because even taking spiritual out of it, like what you just so beautifully like reflected to me, not even diving deep into my chart, just with like the basics, it's like it reflected to me exactly what's happening and like what I think I knew, what I know, and what's needed. And so I just it's brilliant and it just affirms how much seriously anyone, I'm going to say this, I know you stay in your lane and have your niche of like spiritual, but I'm going to say anyone who's running a business, owning a business, working for a business, like you should have a session with Tangie. Okay, now we can go on to the other part.
Okay, so this is actually the fun part for me anyway, profile numbers. So we have 6 potential lines in the profile numbers. There's 12 different profiles. So when you look at your chart, in the chart properties, you'll see a line that says profile. You'll see a number, a slash, and another number. And I love to look at this because that slash reminds me a little bit of like a scale. And so this is how we create balance. This is how we create work-life balance through our expression. And so I'm going to describe each one of the numbers, right? Instead of all 12 profiles, I'll just go through each of the 6 lines and then you can place it in your chart, right? How it lands for you. I will say the first number represents what your mind needs, right? To create safety in your own consciousness, what you're thinking about, what you're processing. And the second number represents what your physical body needs. Okay, so when I talk about each of the lines, you can place that in your own chart and see how it lands. So Mel is a 4-6 and I'm a 1-3. So that first line is the foundation. It's the very first number and it is foundational knowledge. Okay, so anyone who has a 1 in their profile on either side, they really want to feel like an expert in something. They are a researcher. They like to go down the rabbit holes. They like to go very deep, right? So when you hear me speak on human design, I sound like an expert. I sound articulate. And that is because I have read so many books. I don't stop studying. And that feels good to my mind, right? Before that, like there's chaos. How do I make sense of the world? How do I figure this out? What I want for my mind is foundational knowledge. So I do the research. So if you are a first line and you're in business, people want to view you as the expert. And so if you don't feel that way in your own energy, in your own body yet, check out the books that are on your bookshelf because I know you got stacks of them. Right? What are you already researching? What can you not research? Can't not research. What are you already lined up with? And then just go, okay, I'm focused on that now. That is what my area of expertise, okay? Mm-hmm. Second line has more natural wisdom. So these are the people who would resonate more as like an intuitive and they'd say, I don't know how I know what I know, but I know it. We love to see them in their flow states. We love to see them get aligned with the energy and share what just comes to them naturally. One of my best friends is a second line and she has natural wisdom for communicating with children. Always has, always will. That is her area of expertise in her second line. Mm-hmm. And so this second line needs to be in their flow states. It's also called the hermit. So they have to be able to pull their energy away from everybody else. You can't be in a flow state when you're in people-pleasing modes. You just can't. So being able to hermit, being able to pull away sometimes, but then also offering what you intuitively know, what comes very, very naturally to you without you having to do all the research, without you having to try really hard. The third line, which I have on my body, is the experimenter. So I don't know, you might have to edit this out, but I call it like fuck around and find out, right?
I love
try
that.
and try and
Fuck
fail.
around and find out. I love it.
It is trial and error, learn things the hard way. That's what we do as third lines. And so all of this research that I do, I feel very unbalanced if it's not something that I can apply to my real life. And so when I talk about what I offer in business, I use my human design very strategically. And I say, I offer foundational knowledge and practical tools with real life application. That is my 1-3. Okay. So a third line is using their experience, their resilience, the things that they've done, the things that they've been through, the things that they know by stepping outside of their comfort zone. That is a true strength for anyone that has a third line in any placement. Okay. So that's lower trigram, as we call it in human design. This is how we learn. So if you are 1, 2, or 3 anywhere in your profile, you're just a natural learner. You learn things, you share what you know. But once we move up to the upper trigram, which you have both lines in the upper trigram, this is more about how we connect with others. And so if you have both lines or any lines in the upper trigram, you really are basing your business on connection and how you interact with others. And there's 3 different ways to do that. Fourth line is foundational relationships. And so when I talk to fourth lines who are business owners, I say, how are you nurturing your clients? Your clients want to feel close to you. They want to feel like almost like your friends, like your besties. They don't want to feel like part of a larger network. They don't want to feel like an acquaintance. They want to feel nurtured. And so that foundational line of a fourth line, what is your nurture sequence? What is your nurture group? How do you nurture those relationships? Because you need it. And so do they. And so that will really line up for your business. And for someone like me, I can't hold that space, and nor do I desire to, right? I give you information and then I go away. A fifth line, okay? Fifth lines are natural problem solvers, and they get into a bit of a pickle when they get stuck with just one person's problems. The fifth line creates universalized solutions. You live in a projection field. You pull in everybody's problems all the time. It's very overwhelming. And as soon as you go, oh my gosh, problems are here and I'm a natural problem solver, how can I create a replicable solution to the problems that I'm feeling and that are coming into my energy field? Mm-hmm. And so serving a larger network, right? Creating universalized solutions, being able to speak to your client's specific problem and the solution, super aligned for a fifth line. And then last is the sixth line, the highest, the role model archetype. We love that for you. Okay. I never get to graduate to role model. I'm a third line forever, but a sixth line exists in 3 different phases in life. They, from age 0 to 30, are in that experimentation. You have to experiment in order to become wise. And so from 30 to 50, you take that experimentation, all of those failures, and you turn them into wisdom. And so from 30 to 50 and 50 on, we want to see you begin to step in to that role model archetype. We want to see the lifestyle that you live based on the experiences that you've had, right? We want to see you show up in an empowered way and kind of like guide our energy. So that's what I would suggest for our sixth line. Lifestyle, social media doesn't work for everyone, right? And not everyone can be that type of influencer, but a sixth line can if it's what they desire. But they're going to want to do it in a very authentic way because they actually have the experience to back it up. You won't actually see them creating fake lifestyle content because they've already lived so much life that they're like, nah, that's not real. So when you use those profile lines in your business, right, line up with the 2 that are active for you, you start to see people reflect back to you, oh, that is what you offer. Oh, that is what I really enjoy about connecting with you. And when you balance the 2 for yourself, now you understand another way that you may find yourself in misalignment, and you understand how to create balance between the body and the mind and work and life, right? And so when when I'm feeling very challenged and very overwhelmed by all of my failures, because I throw spaghetti at the wall just to see what sticks. It's kind of fun, and sometimes it's kind of exhausting. When I feel like that, I go, okay, it's time for me to get a new audiobook. It's time for me to learn something new. It's time for me to go back into research mode, because I feel very overwhelmed by all of this challenging stuff. How can I ground myself back into knowledge and then go out and experiment again? So all of the profile lines work that way if you pair the two, mind and body.
Wow, that was so helpful. Thank you so much. I love that because you're giving people a glimpse into like looking at their chart and kind of understanding like it's a good entry point. And then of course we know like through your social media, through your website, and then of course if they want to have a reading with you. Thank you. I do have a question.
Okay.
So let's say, because I don't know if you experience this with like clients or friends. I'm finding that I'm hearing a lot of people, probably more so, to be honest, than when I was in my 20s. And people are like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, what is the like purpose? It's such a big word. It's an interesting thing that people who are within, like, let's just say like mid 30s to mid 40s or beyond, it could be anyone. But I'm hearing a lot of people that are like, this really isn't working for me. What now? Right? Like, so they're sort of at this place where maybe they don't have a business. Maybe they don't have a job that they're working on. Are you able to, when someone comes to you through this human design, are you able to sort of give them like suggestions or like this may be good, or is it just about the experimenting with the energy of the numbers, the energy of the authority, the energy of the type? Or how, I guess my question is, let me land the plane, how specific can you be with human design?
Very.
Okay.
Well, I will say from age 28 and a half until about 43, that's our astrological wake-up call. Okay, so we get our Saturn return. Saturn comes back to its natal placement at 28 and a half. I'm like, oh, I might for real be a grown-up. I might need to actually start like doing something with my life at this point. So whatever it is in your own placements, you'll see the theme of that wake-up call, not only astrologically, but we have a Saturn placement in human design as well. So I can be strategic and specific about the lessons that you've learned and how you've learned them. And then we move at around the ages of like 38 to 42 to a Uranus opposition. And so we call that the midlife crisis. Like, is it really safe and okay for me to express my individuality in a purposeful way? And so this is natural for everyone. For anyone that's experienced it, like I want to say I've been there too, right? 36, I lost everything, right? And I became a single mom. So I lost my house. I had no money. Next to nothing. Luckily I have a car, but and I became a single mom and I had to do healing work. This was a traumatic event. Okay. So I'm 36 years old, starting over from scratch. Human design, thank goodness I had already been introduced, was the only way that I could manage my energy, do healing work, parent my children in a conscious way, and build a business simultaneously, all at the same time. Right? Even with human design as a foundation, I felt like I was losing my mind from time to time. But luckily I had this like energy management tool where I could go, okay, okay, time to take a little break, time to redirect. And so there are a few places that I would look in someone's chart to talk about purpose. One of the biggest ones is called the incarnation cross. And so my incarnation cross is the cross of the Sphinx. People show up in my energy field when they feel lost. And the Sphinx gives direction, right? So just me knowing that and knowing that that's the impact that my energy has on people, right? And of course now I know the nuance, right? I'm giving direction via my resilience. I'm giving direction via my energy and my systems, all of that. But people are going to show up and they're going to go, I'm lost. And that's exactly what happens with human design all of the time. People go, what the heck is that disembodied graph thing? There's too many numbers, there's too many colors. I don't know what's going on. I'm lost. Cool. I'll give you direction. So that's one place to look. Your incarnation cross is made up of very frequent transits. We've got Sun and Earth on the personality side, which again represents your mind. And we've got sun and earth on the design side, which represents your body. And so it is this synthesis of mind and body coming together on a day-to-day basis. What is your day-to-day impact? So mine is to give direction. And you can look up your incarnation cross when you pull your chart. Again, there are videos on that, and it's also in my personalized report. But this is the impact that you have. And so in context, Mel, you have the cross of contagion. And so you're that little fire starter. You're the first domino in a series of dominoes that gets knocked down. And a lot of times I do come across people with the cross of contagion that do podcasts, because you're that light bulb moment, right? Mm-hmm. That thing that puts all of the other things in motion, basically. So that cross of contagion, when you are able to articulate that and you're able to take credit, right, for the energy impacts that you have, now that is something that you list in your offers, right? That's something that comes up in your marketing. And so I'll use the word loss, and I'll use the word direction and purpose and guidance in my marketing, because that's my incarnation cross. You can use the words around getting things started, or the domino effect, or the way things move in a very organized and patterned way. Doesn't matter, but everybody's got their own incarnation cross in human design. So that helps a lot with purpose and fulfillment, because it's going to come up for you every day. It's going to be impactful, and people are going to reflect it back to you. So as soon as you can focus in on it and put energy there, now you have awareness of your impacts, and so do others. They're able to reflect that back to you in testimonials, for example, because you told them, because you know. There's that, and then there's a lot of other different parts of your chart where you would see purpose and intention and healing and all kinds of journeys, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, that's fantastic. I know we're kind of coming up on time, and you've given us so much. I'm just wondering if there's anything else that you feel called that you want to sort of put into the space.
Yeah, I think one of the most fun things for me about working with entrepreneurs and doing it through the lens of human design is when human design, is different than astrology, because we use 2 dates. And that's another reason why I call it the rabbit hole to end all rabbit holes. It's already hard enough to read one natal chart, natal placements, meaning your moment of birth. But we take this other chart that happened while you were still in utero. It's 88 degrees of the sun prior. So anything on the left column of your chart, that's your physical body. So it's your body, your vessel, your vehicle, your unconscious, your ancestry, your DNA, that all lives there. And so it's beyond your conscious. It's more of how other people see you than how you see yourself. And so entrepreneurs a lot of times will get stuck because they're stuck in this loop of who I think I am, right? Reinforcing our own personality back to us. And it's always really fun and surprising when I share with an entrepreneur, yes, that's true. And that is available to you. And that's very validating. And I need you to know that this is what other people see when they see you. And so for context, right, in my chart on my design side, sun and earth, we'll just go with the highest ones up. I have gates 1 and 2. People have always reflected to me, you're so authentic, right? Mm-hmm. Sure, I can't not be. I don't know how to be anything else. Integrity is really important to me. I don't know why it is. It just is. And so they go, I just really value your authenticity. You're just yourself no matter what. And to me, I'm like, okay. But when I'm able to narrow down in my own chart and say, oh, that really is what other people see when they look at me, it's hard for me to access that within myself. It's hard for me to articulate that for myself. But really, people have told me that all along the path. Now I use that in my marketing, and I say, hey, I use human design to help you get in touch with your most authentic self. And people believe me because I am in touch with my most authentic self, right? And so for you, Mel, you've got gates 29 and 30, right? So you're offering this potential to have their desires met, right? They, first of all, with your 6th line, they see this lifestyle potential. And I imagine that they also see in you, actually, now that I'm saying it from reading your chart, but I'm like, I have experience with you. They see in you this ability to have very firm and strong boundaries. You know exactly what to say no to and what to say yes to. That is your design sun. And so when I look at you from the outside in, like that just comes up in my mind. Mel has really great energy boundaries. Mel has really great ability to know what is correct and what isn't. Mel can say no. And not everybody can do that. And so if you look at that design side of your chart and you start to like hone in on those things and reflect on what people have said to you and how they experience you, Now, when you use that in your marketing, people go, yeah, spot on. That's exactly what I feel when I'm in your energy. You're exactly right. And I know you can do it because that's exactly what I felt when I saw you the first time. And so being able to like take that personality side and say, yes, of course, use that. That's how you see yourself. That's what your conscious mind is doing all the time. But also adding in this vehicle, this vessel that it's very hard to access from our own mind, being able to speak with someone who can articulate that energy and say, this is what your clients are looking for from you. They really, really want this. They see it and you don't. Now your marketing really gets aligned and you feel excited to offer that because people, again, are reflecting that back to you and they're saying that is exactly how I feel and they're giving you testimonials to that effect. So that's one of like my fun little like hat tricks, I guess.
I love that. That's great. Very, very helpful. Nice. Awesome. All right. So there are many different ways that people can work with you. So will you just share like how people, we know through social media and stuff, but if they really want to have some sort of session with you, I think you do. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there's a report as well that you give. I assume that's separate than the session. Can you just explain how people work with you? Because I know, after hearing this, I mean, I'm already like, okay, where's Tangie's calendar?
Yes, I do have a calendar link, by the way. So typically when someone crosses my path, it is their first introduction to human design. And that is great. That is okay. I love that, right? This is what I'm actually really good at, is providing you a foundation. So whether it's your first introduction to human design or entrepreneurship, again, I'm great at foundations. So my website, it took me an entire year because there are hundreds of variations, but I set up my website to where people could get an on-demand mini reading, right? So if you want to get an idea of what's in your chart and understand it thoroughly and start to be able to listen to your energy and make decisions that are aligned with that, this is my projector, right? Systematized.
Yeah.
You go do that and then come in later and then come and invite me. So if you land on my website, thefeelgoodexpert.com, type in your birth info. Every single one of the chart properties is custom to you and it is a free video explanation. So they're 1 to 3 minutes each, 15 to 20 minutes. You've got a foundational reading on demand. You can do your chart, you can do anybody else's chart, and you can get a really good understanding of your design starting there. Mm-hmm. Once you're on my website at the bottom, it'll say personalized report. I'm a visual learner. I like to have like a foundation, right? Something to refer back to. So my personalized report is very heavy on strategy and authority because that really is the only thing to do with or about human design. Everything else I tell you is for validation and for focus. It's not necessarily an action step because you already do it. You can't not do it. It's just giving you words to describe the energy that you already have. So my personalized report will give you journaling prompts, it gives affirmations, it gives powerful questions to ask yourself, very specific to your energetic expression. And then there are written descriptions of each one of the chart properties as well. So you have something that you can actually land on and refer back to because all of it all at once is very overwhelming. So this is personal and custom to you. It has your full chart in there and it has all of the descriptions and it's straight to the point. That's how I am. That's how I like things. Just get straight to the point. It is not a novel. It is not a difficult thing to read. It's impactful and it's a few sentences on each thing that you can go, okay, I can ground my energy there. Then I have a course. So I do have a lot of entrepreneurs who want to use human design to support their clients. So I have the easiest way to learn human design ever created. If you can imagine, this is how I talk. This is how I talk on socials. This is how I talk to clients. This is how I talk on podcasts. Very straight, direct, to the point. This is easy. You just have to be able to build and layer the knowledge. You have to be able to understand larger concepts and smaller concepts. So I have that. And then I do offer one-on-one readings. Basically, when you book a reading with me, you're just booking a slot of time and you can talk about whatever you like. And the questions that I have for the intake of the reading will tell me exactly how to guide the reading for you to meet your desired outcome. So if you say, hey, relationships are great, I'm happy with that, but I really need to get clear and focused on my business. And my outcome for this reading is to have a strategy, right, for my socials. Okay, cool. I can do that. I can do that in 45 minutes. I can do it in 60 minutes. I can do it in 90 minutes. Just depends on how long you want me to talk at you.
Right. Nice. I love that. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much. We'll make sure to link to everything. And yeah, it's so great to just see your like sort of, we met, you were into human design, you were learning, you were doing it.
Yeah.
And just to kind of see, a few years later, you sort of standing in this and owning it and expressing it and truly being this channel and using your chart, like using that energy is so inspiring, and I love witnessing that. So thank you for coming, for saying yes, for coming on and for sharing this and everything you're doing to help people, because I think the truth is entrepreneurship can be very lonely. It can be, there's a lot of challenges that come along with it. So I think that having someone like you who can like sort of be that guiding light and talk to people through the lens of their chart just makes it feel not quite so alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes quite a bit of resilience to do this journey. So
Yeah.
when you have an objective support person, right? Like I'm rooting for you, but go whatever path feels right for you, right? There's no good, bad, right, or wrong to me, and there are a lot of different ways to get to your desired outcome. We just want to line up with the one that matches your energy best.
Sorry, it cut out again.
Damn it.
All right. Well, thank you, Tangie, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll link all the ways that you can get in touch with Tangie, book your reading. I think the site is a great place to start, where you can really like see everything and then come back to the episode, take notes, and then I have no doubt that people are going to be like, okay, I need to go deeper in this. Like, because why would you not? Like you're getting a glimpse into your soul and your energy and like what lights you
Yeah.
up and like what's the direction. So, anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, joining in.
Thank you.